So I'm gonna be busy real soon with college. I hope that doesn't make anybody sad that I'm going to be leaving inconsistently to work on college-related materials. Anyway, so we got Arcstar, Direct Strike, that map Taya made. It's a tug-of-war map. Basically, it's the most advanced looking tug-of-war map ever designed on StarCraft 2. If Blizzard gives their little money out to a map creator, then I guess it will turn out to become this. But man, Taya's a decent map maker. I heard she, sucked cock for a map review or something. Like, somebody was like, I don't like this game. And then she was like, no, I want to have a good review. But whatever. I find this map decent at best. It isn't, the best map in the world. But it's certainly better than most maps out there. I'm going to be also posting some Kerrigan Survival as well. So you can see by my most recent video about the matter, I was making a suggestion for the Dark Templar that sort of buffed his mobility. Yeah, I'm going to be posting more videos about that game. I got some funny recordings and stuff talking about it. The problem I have with this game is it feels so repetitive sometimes. It would be cool if they added new stuff. If, Taya added new stuff to this game. There's a lot of different modes, though, that allow for variation, which I do enjoy. Also, I'm thinking about signing up for the tournament on the 18th. That sounds like fun. I think my biggest problem with this game is that if you find the perfect combo of units, you're pretty much gonna win, no matter what. Until a balance a balance patch comes. But until then, you're pretty much good with your OP combo of units. Nothing's really stopping your OP combo of units from going anywhere. We see this one guy spamming lurkers, which is really great against ground units, and then I think he goes Mass Queens. Mass Queen and lurker is really powerful since it just destroys both air and ground units. But then we have Terran with its Mass Marine, ball, cheese, that stuff. Do enjoy the commander mode a bit because Taya manages to somehow balance co-op into this without it being completely unbalanced. Have you ever played those melee maps with co-op commanders? You know how unbalanced those maps are, where you just kill everybody with one unit. You're your hero unit. Karax can just cannon rush people to death, while Kerrigan pretty much is a guaranteed win because she does too much damage against other classes in melee if you apply it to melee. But yeah, I got a lot of recordings of these games. So yeah, I've been playing Kerrigan Survival a bit more. I've been playing it casually. I'm not gonna be like that pro who's gonna be like, I've been playing for 5,000 games, therefore your opinion sucks. Obviously if a noob is oh, this class sucks, it's bad or something, I'm just gonna be like, no, you need to get good. And then you can talk about changing the game. But yeah, that's sort of my knuffle with nubs. They sort of get salty, and then they go to the map dev and they're like, oh, I can't handle the game, it's too OP for me. And then the map dev was like, okay, we'll fix it and stuff, and then it doesn't get fixed. The noob ironically makes it more broken for everybody else when he suggests something bad to a map dev. But whatever. This game actually lags. Like when you have like a giant ball of units, like if you have like 10 High Templars and you're fighting a guy with a whole lot of Marines or something, it's gonna be a lag fest, that's guaranteed. There's no way around that, I don't think.
Upgrade complete.
So, yeah, let me see where this is at. Yeah, I'm gonna be busy with college soon. I have classes starting soon. I'm getting the books for the starting classes soon. I'm finishing up some preparation stuff as well. I can't wait until I get done with it. I'll have a lot of money. No, I'm just joking. I'll have a lot of experience. That's for sure. So we got that one dude who spams Void Rays from like Wings of Liberty. You know, let's talk about the tag system in StarCraft 2. So, in StarCraft 1, there was sort of like a tag system where there were light units and heavy units. And hover units. Like, hover units didn't trigger spider mines and stuff, while light units took half damage from AoE. Then you have heavy units that take all the damage from AoE, like siege tanks. So StarCraft 2 decided to add tags, which are like the little names under your units. They're like armored, biological, and stuff. Well, you see, Blizzard was like, hey, let's add an armored tag. And basically 95% of the units in the game have an armored tag. So units who are good against armored units basically counter 75% of other units and each other. So when the Void Ray came out, it countered a majority of units right out the gate because it did more damage to armored units. It had this gimmick though where in WoW it had to charge up by shooting something, so you can just like attack a building and then get maximum charge and then destroy everything with it. Also, something interesting about Void Ray is that it has a tailoring range. Like, you might recognize that from the carrier where it sort of just has its interceptors follow you a bit longer than it should. But the Void Ray can actually attack while targeting a unit. Like, it can attack while moving, while attacking a unit. Like, if something tries to run away, it will still follow the unit around. It's kind of funny. So with all of those things combined, the Void Ray sort of became the meta for the game. Like, whatever killed the Void Ray quicker was a better unit overall compared to most units. I think the biggest problem with the tag system is that they shouldn't have had a armored tag. Like, that was stupid. Like, a majority of units had the armored tag, which means Void Rays could kill just about anything. And their attacks weren't too bad. The only things they didn't really counter were like Hydralisks and Marines. And maybe Vikings if you microed them well. Vikings were very interesting in WoW days since they were pretty much siege tanks in midair. They could outrange most things. I think they still work like that today. They also have a ground mode which doesn't do anything. Most classes, most units counter Vikings anyways. Like, if you have a Marauder composition, that's just gonna get demolished immediately. Against Vikings? I think Vikings are only really good against light units. And then Blizzard added like Liberators, which are pretty much the siege tanks of the air, except for they have a little targeting radius and they do a whole lot of damage. Personally, I don't see why they added Liberators, I guess, for a new air unit. It would have been cool if they added back the Firebat or something. I mean, they already have the Hellbat, so that's redundant. So basically in Wool, they decided that they were gonna combine certain units. Like they took the Medic and Dropship and made the Medivac and the Firebat and Vulture to make the Hellion, which is an interesting concept, but they didn't really do that for the other units. They sort of just scrapped the Dragoon. For the Stalker, which I'm just like, okay. There's actually a Dragoon mover in the SC2 editor. I think they're trying to replicate the redundant movements of Dragoons. But as you can see from this game, you have mass Corruptors, mass Lurkers, and some Queens from the Zerg player. Yeah. Rarely do you see mass air, because usually mass marine or mass hydralisk can destroy air units. Like Void Rays and Corruptors are only good when you use like armored units or air units. I don't get why the Corruptors can attack down. I guess it's for a balancing purpose, since everybody would use Corruptors over Mutalisk, since they do more damage to armored units last time I checked. But they're still kinda useful for those situations with mass ground units. Like, I think Blizzard added a functionality for them where they could attack structures and stuff. So if you mass Corruptors, you can still do stuff with them. They sort of just stand still and vomit slime on people. Also, Blizzard replaced the Queen that was a spellcaster from BW to the normal Queen. It would be cool if Tai added a BW mode. All of the units from StarCraft to BW are back. All of them. There isn't one single missing unit. The Devourer is even a unit that Abathur uses. So it'd be cool if there was like a BW mode and Dragoons just sort of move weirdly. I don't know. Yeah, I kinda miss Dragoons when I was playing Wool. Stalkers felt sorta odd. They were just like, yeah, we just are more mobile, but we die quicker. And they don't really offer too much besides agility and mobility, since they can blink and they move really quickly. But let's talk about a unit that hasn't been incorporated into Melee or hasn't been added into co-op for whatever reason. The Diamondback is really funny. So it attacks while moving, which means you don't have to micro with it. It just sorta kills anything armored. Though it destroys melee units like Zealots and Zerglings and Ultralisks, because they just they don't really out micro them. You just move them around and they kill everything that chases them, besides like Hydras. But I'm surprised they haven't made it in co-op or like melee. It would be funny if they made it into matchmaking though. Because they would just destroy all the other mech options. They're glass cannons though, and then you have predators, which are another unit that haven't been incorporated in this or co-op or matchmaking. They're basically cat-like units that kill everything, melee and biological. They have this little AoE electric field which kills lings faster, though you would usually go the Hercules route since you can cheese missions with that unit. If you got the Hercules early in the campaign, you could just completely cheese cheese missions. There's a couple missions where you have to get your units to point A to B, so you just take a couple of air units with a couple of Hercules and just fly them over the terrain. Like, I think it's, not Gates of Hell. Wait, yeah, it's Gates of Hell. That mission, if you had your Hercules in that mission, you could just fly all of your units above the terrain blocking the ship you had to save.
Upgrade complete.
And then you would just end the mission from there.
Not enough minerals.
There's another mission, I forgot its name, it's the Data Core one. If you have a Hercules in that, you can just fly all your units to all of the data cores and end that mission quickly. I kinda liked how in WoL they sort of replaced all the destroy all buildings missions with more compelling missions. Like in BW, most of the missions were kill all structures or kill this structure or simply put this thing you gather with a worker onto this beacon, or move unit X to beacon Y, and then that's the end of the mission.
Not enough minerals.
I kinda miss the old missions that allowed you to choose to do stuff. Like in BW, there's this one Zerg mission where you could choose either to kill the newly formed Overmind, or you could get a Kodarin crystal back to your base.
Research.
Something I really don't like about StarCraft 2's campaign, though, is that they shift the perspective from, like, second person to third person. Like, in StarCraft 1 and BW, you were sort of the commander in general, helping the characters out in these situations. But in StarCraft 2, you're sort of a invisible hand guiding or puppeteering the events that actually come into existence. It would be cool if there was like a character creation menu or something where you created your own general for each race, and then you were sort of just plopped into a story.
Research complete.
A lot of people complain about, Heart of the Swarm just butchering the series. Like, that's one nail in the coffin for me. It's weird, the lore in that sucks. Kerrigan's character sucks in that as well. Like, you can't really sort of like, what's the word I'm thinking of? You can't relate with Kerrigan at all since she's a bit of a psychopath in that campaign. She sort of kills people without no reason, and she acts like a character from those anime games, like Yandere Simulator, where you would just kill everyone until you get to your boyfriend. That's essentially who Kerrigan is in Heart of the Swarm. Like, Minx captures Raynor, and then she goes all Yandere-chan on the StarCraft universe and kills everybody in her way for Raynor's love. Sort of weird how Raynor still is in love with Kerrigan, even though she's completely infested by an alien in the epilogue, but he's just sort of like, whatever.
Upgrade complete.
I guess love can take many forms. Raynor's character got butchered a bit in Wool. He was sort of more wild in StarCraft 1. Like, he started off as this, like, general who worked for Minx, but then he realized that he sort of messed up, so he should try to do something else. And then Kerrigan got swept away by the Zerg. And then in StarCraft 2, he's sort of like, let's lead a rebellion against Minx, and then it sort of just trails off into this plot of saving Kerrigan from her infestation, but Heart of the Storm was just like, oh, she's infested literally a couple missions in. Like, you can get to Xeris in about 40 minutes or an hour, depending on how good you are at the campaign and depending on the difficulty of it. But yeah, Kerrigan just feels meh. I kinda wish she'd talked more in Legacy of the Void. I find it weird how Artanis and her are very, like, friendly with each other, considering, in BW, I think, in the last mission, Omega, Kerrigan pretty much killed all of Artanis's structures and forced him away. Now he's sort of good with Kerrigan. That's sort of my big problem with the newer campaigns. They brush aside details from StarCraft 1 and BW. Like, there's a lot of plot threads from BW that sort of just get left hanging, because like, Blizzard devs just snip them out like a pair of scissors on string. The only thing they really remembered about was the fact that Kerrigan got infested on New Gettysburg. That's really the only thing they remembered about, and how Tassadar sacrificed himself. Though there's a lot more plot threads. In Legacy of the Void, they decided to do the really safe move of making Phoenix a robot. Like, a lot of people really love Phoenix from StarCraft. So how do you bring back a character without devaluing their death, and also without making it as cheesy as saying, oh, it's a son? Like, they have Warzone, who's essentially the great-granddaughter of What's-Her-Face from StarCraft. Raza something, I forgot. They didn't do that, though. They made the safe move of, hey, he's a robot, so he just sort of happened to not be in some events, so that's why he isn't friends with Raynor. I kinda wish they had the fun Phoenix as the robot dude.